I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. We are now returning to Isaiah. We have read all of Micah. We caught us up in the history of the Jaredites, and we are in the reign of Ahaz in Judah. And this brings us back to Isaiah. I also want to mention that this video does have a Joseph Smith translation in it. What the Joseph Smith translation is, this is an inspired translation or correction of the Bible done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that had been lost over the years. And this will be Isaiah chapter 7. Ephraim and Syria wage war against Judah. Christ shall be born of a virgin. Compare 2 Nephi chapter 17. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin the king of Syria and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. And it was told the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim, and his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Okay, Shear-Jashub means the remnant shall return. So his name itself is a prophecy, which is not exactly rare among in the Bible. Anyways, he's telling him they're meeting. The conduit is a canal, and the upper pool in the highway. This is where the servants would go to do the laundry. That's what it says in the footnotes. Verse 4, And say unto him, Take heed and be quiet, fear not, neither be faint-hearted for the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria and the son of Remaliah. Because Syria, Ephraim, and the son of Remaliah have taken evil counsel against thee, saying, Let us go up against Judah, and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabeel. Thus saith the Lord God, It shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass, for the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin, and within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. If ye will not believe, surely ye shall not be established. This is an interesting thing. Don't worry about it, because God's going to take care of it. 65 years, within 65 years, Israel is going to cease to exist as a nation. He's giving us a timeline here. Now, it doesn't say that in the 65th year, it says within that time frame, they will cease to exist. It could be before. It could be only 50 years. It could be 55 years. As long as it's not more than 65 years, the prophecy is still true. And in 9 there it says, If you lack faith, you will not be saved, is what it means here. That's what it says in the footnotes. If you will not believe, surely you shall not be established. Meaning, if you don't believe this, if you lack faith in God, then what I'm saying, he's saying you're going to be okay. The nation of Judah will come out of this okay. But if you're not faithful, you don't have that promise. Verse 9. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying, Ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, Hear ye now, O house of David, is it a small thing for you to weary men? But will ye weary my God also? Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. Now I do find this interesting. See, we are told many times that you don't ask for a sign. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh a sign. But when God offers you a sign, you don't refuse. See, Ahaz he's not really a faithful guy. He's been sacrificing his kids to idols. He's replaced the altar of God with his own. But he still worships God, and he still has the original altar of God there, as he said, for his own private worship. So it's a mixed, a blended religion. And so he knows the principle of asking for a sign. And so he says, "Oh, no. I don't want to be categorized as a wicked and adulterous generation." But Isaiah is saying, look, God offered you a sign, you accept it. And so he gives him a sign. And this is the great prophecy of Christ. But he also says, before Christ comes, both Israel and Judah will be destroyed. Verse 17, "The Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come, from the day that Ephraim departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. And it shall come to pass on that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. And they shall come and shall rest all of them in the desolate valleys and in the holes of the rocks, and upon all thorns and upon all bushes. In the same day shall the Lord shave with a razor that is hired, namely by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the feet. And it shall also consume the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall come to pass for the abundance of milk that they shall give, he shall eat butter. But butter and honey shall every one eat that is left in the land. And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were 1,000 vines at 1,000 silverlings. It shall even be for briars and thorns. With arrows and with bows shall men come thither, because all the land shall become briars and thorns. And on all the hills that shall be digged with the mattock, there shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen, and for the treading of lesser cattle." Lesser cattle means sheep and goats, and those kind of guys. Where it says silverlings, this is talking about money. Butter and honey, it says in the footnotes, is curd and honey, typically nomad staples. So this is what the nomadic people would eat. There's a lot of stuff in the footnotes here. So verse 20, "Lord shall shave with a razor that is hired." Right? It says that the land will be depopulated by a foreign invader. Only a few self-sustaining survivors shall remain. This is from the footnotes. That's what I figured it was talking about here. So what he's saying is, before Christ comes, the land is going to be destroyed, laid waste, made desolate. A few people will remain that can sustain themselves, but they're not going to be a great people anymore. And the land will be populated by the Assyrians and the Egyptians and other foreign nations. So let us look now at the Joseph Smith translation. Verse 6 in the King James says, "Let us go up against Judah and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it, even the son of Tabeel." So Joseph Smith just changes the word even to yea, the son of Tabeel. Now I do want to say that the plan of Israel was to remove the king, take away the line of David, and put his own king in place, a kind of a puppet king, so that Israel could control Judah. Anyways, we continue to verse 14 in the King James. "Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." And Joseph Smith just adds another shall in there. "Behold, a virgin shall conceive and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." So nothing significant. Again, in verse 15, "Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good." Joseph Smith just adds the word "to" there. To refuse the evil and to choose the good. Again, just a grammatical correction. Verse 18, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria." And Joseph Smith just removes part of the uttermost part of the rivers. So it reads now, And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. I'm not sure it's a real vital change, but in verse 23 says here, "And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were 1,000 vines at 1,000 silverlings. It shall even be for briars and thorns." And Joseph Smith has this, and it shall come to pass in that day, every place that shall be, where there were 1,000 vines and 1,000 silverlings, which shall even be for briars and thorns. Again, a slight grammatical correction, but nothing profound. And finally, in verse 25, in the last line here, in the King James, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the treading of lesser cattle. And we just remove the word for there. But it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and the treading of lesser cattle. Again, largely grammatical corrections, nothing earth-shattering in doctrine. So we will leave that here, and we will see you in the next one. We will be continuing with Isaiah, by the way. We are going to read through Isaiah chapter 13 before we return to the Kings. So stay tuned.